Hey everybody, welcome to our Go Vegan Grow interview. This is Dave Sheen here. I'm the founder of Go Vegan Grow, and I'm delighted that you've invested your valuable time to be on our particular show this week, because what we're going to share, as we share in every single week, is valuable tips and strategies for either adopting a plant-based vegan lifestyle if you haven't already done so, or for those of you who are plant-based and are vegan, it give you more tips so you can better live that life and you can learn more, because it isn't just a case of just being plant-based. There's a healthy way of doing it, and there's whole food, and we'll go into all of that in this particular call as well, where nutrition is going to be hugely important. But I'm very passionate about sharing with people and educating them and motivating them and inspiring them to adopt a plant-based lifestyle, because I myself, since January, it's now, 4 years, I'm on my 5th year of being plant-based, and it's made a huge difference in my life and made a huge difference in my family, as well as the clients I have around the world. And I'm delighted that on our particular show, this particular show, we have Neil Robinson, former professional football player who played for Everton and Swansea, among other clubs. But he's been vegan for 35 years, and he's in his 36th year. And for someone who was involved in sport at the highest level, being a plant-based vegan at that time is pretty unique. He was the world's first plant-based vegan footballer, professional footballer. So it's going to be a great call. He's going to share some great information, share about his own journey. On the right of the live stream video, you can see there's a chat. So let us know who you are, where you're from, and most importantly, put in your questions and also your comments, because it's always good for presenters to know if you're liking their information, if you're getting much from it. So share and interact in that chat box, and even between yourselves, you can share and interact as well. All right, so enjoy the call, and I just want to see, Neil, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Excellent. So Neil, thank you so much for being on the call. I know you're a busy guy, and but you're very passionate about this whole area. So I know you two would be excited about getting to share this information. So what I want to start off with is, as I said, you've been vegan now in your 36th year. But let's go before that. What was your background then? What was the environment you grew up in? Was it a heavy meat-based kind of environment with family and friends? And also, lead up to what made you make the decision? So I know you went vegetarian and then vegan. What led to that decision?
Yeah. Hi everyone. By the way, firstly, apologies. I've had a bit of a cold over Christmas. I don't need any sympathy. But if I start sniffing, if I start sniffing and coughing, please excuse me. Exactly what you said there, Dave. It was typical family. Brought up eating your meat and 2 veg. Didn't think nothing of it. Until my epiphany moment as regards becoming a vegetarian was when I was 13 years old, and my brother John had become a vegetarian. So the word was in the lexicon by then. I knew what a vegetarian was, but never give it a thought about becoming one.
Yeah.
And then I became a veggie after watching. I mean, at that time it was like that's in 1970. There was only like BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV, and we were all the family were watching a documentary on the telly about an Amazonian tribe. And obviously, no internet then. Nothing would be in the papers about vegetarianism or veganism. So I was suddenly exposed this tribe bringing on a cow, and it was a sacrificial ritual. So they walked the cow on. And one of the tribesmen all of a sudden plunged a knife into its neck, and the poor animal just fell to the floor and blood flowing out everywhere. And the most sickening part about it was what the tribesmen they all jumped on top of it to sort of get the blood out quick. So it was that process of actually seeing this. I didn't give it a thought. And then they chopped the animal up and cooked it on a fire, and I thought, that's meat. That's how we get our meat. That was it.
What meat actually is.
Yeah, because with the advent of the internet now and social media and papers, and we're exposed to some horrific things on the internet and all that sort of people that we shouldn't really be looking at. So that was my first exposure to how meat came into being. So, and it was from that moment on I became a vegetarian. And I was a vegetarian then for another 7 years. I've become a professional footballer. I became a professional footballer at 17 at Everton, my boyhood club. So all that time I was a vegetarian, even through playing for the club, playing for Everton. And again, prompted by my brother John, who had become a vegan when I was 20. We spoke about it, and I thought, well, I'm not too sure it's for me. Surely the dairy industry and the egg industry is not that cruel. But then you read about it and you realise that it's worse. It's probably worse, really, because the animals suffer even longer before they're killed. So I contacted the Vegan Society. Again, no internet. A lot of those days was still writing letters to people to find out information.
Sure.
And I got information. I got information back off the Vegan Society, and that was it. I thought, if I'm gonna, be 100% for the animal rights, I've got to go vegan, and that was it. 20 years old now. So for the remainder of my career, 23 I was, by the way, sorry, in 1980. So for the last, yeah, that's right, yeah, Alzheimer's now, yeah. For the last 10 years of my football career, I actually played professionally as a vegan, and I've never known any other vegan in the world other than until the last few years when Dean Howell came along in the UK.
Yeah.
And that baffles me, Dave. I mean, I don't know any of the listeners, but you think in throughout the history of football, there's only ever been 2 players in the UK that have got a little bit of compassion. I don't believe it.
Yeah, it is amazing. Like what I see it as, it's like what you said with the meat. Like your first exposure at 13 was seeing what happened with the sacrificial cow, basically, and what happened and the barbarity of it, and that actually this is meat. This is what I'm eating every day in my dinner. But you don't have that connect, and this is the problem for people. They don't have that connect, which, as you shared, with social media and websites and everything these days, people are actually getting exposed to it, and once they're open to looking at it or taking, opening their mind to it a bit, they are making decisions now that, look, they're not into accepting that anymore. They want to make changes.
Yeah, I think that's true about the majority of people, or a lot of people. I still think the football world is in the Stone Age there, because I mean they are exposed to this. They know about this. They have nutritional experts at each club, but they're still in the Stone Age when you think, well, we still need animal foods and meat for our protein. We can't be a successful sporting athlete without animal products, and it's a load of nonsense, isn't it, Dave? As you well know, as a triathlete and a personal trainer, and you've been vegan now for 5 years, it's absolute nonsense.
I agree with you. Like, football is in the dark ages, and when you look at some of the sports where there are plant-based athletes now, like even things like MMA and NFL, where meat would have been a massive thing. These are the macho guys, we'll say, and they're going plant-based. 20-stone NFL linebackers. And football is still so far behind. It is pretty baffling.
I know, and there's a glimmer of hope because Dale Vince, the chairman of Forest Green Rovers. You've heard all about Forest Green Rovers being the first vegan football club on the planet. But I contacted Dale, so that there's a glimmer of hope there. There's a vegan football club, so anyone in the club is served vegan food. But I contacted Dale because I know Dale quite well, and I said, right, have any of the footballers gone vegan yet? He said, not that I'm aware of, no.
Yeah.
No. So even though the football club is vegan and they're playing for a vegan football club, I can't, none of them have sort of gone, do you know what? This makes sense. Yeah. So it's still a bit of an uphill battle in the soccer world. I'm not too sure when it's going to change or how it's going to change in the soccer world. As you say, quite rightly saying, and you've got Patrick Baboumian, one of the world's strongest men. Yeah. And in the US, the American football and all that, these, as you say, macho guys, but we don't seem to embrace it.
Yeah. I think it's going to take a very big name to adopt a plant-based lifestyle to make a big difference on a global scale. Like I was reading there the other day, in the MLS in the US, there's, I think it's now 2 plant-based vegan footballers. So at least that's a good start. And usually whatever will happen in America often does start to move over towards the UK and Ireland. So, with that, plus the fact that the plant-based movement is gathering pace all the time, and more athletes and normal people are adopting or at least exploring this lifestyle, it is going to happen eventually. It just depends when.
Well, I just think it's pathetic when you think there's 4 or 5 vegan snooker players.
Yeah.
players have embraced it. You know, it's and that's not to be great snooker players, because I love snooker, but you know, you think, well, highly tuned athletes as well, they don't seem to want to know about it, you know. But one day, you're right though, we do need a big name. You know, I certainly wasn't a big name. I never have, to be honest, I was never an activist when I played. I just sort of kept it low key because I just wanted people to think, well, not judge me by being a vegan, but if I had my time again, I'd be advertising all over the shop now, you know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you were a footballer and you were vegan at the time where it was so alien to people, like being vegan, being plant-based. It was, you know, a crazy thing. It was like a cult nearly, and I can totally understand your apprehension in even sharing as you were. Like one thing, going back to that time, when you went vegan, 100% vegan, what's your main reason? Purely because of what you'd seen, what you'd been exposed to happen with animals? Or how much was their health or performance? Where did these various benefits figure in your decision?
100% absolutely ethical and moral reasons, Dave. That's all it ever was, being a vegetarian, because I didn't know about veganism. I thought I was doing my bit 100% as a vegetarian, clearly wasn't. Everything, my lifestyle as a vegan is totally 100% ethical and moral. And I don't want to denigrate people who do it for other reasons. It's great that people become vegan. It really is great. I just feel myself personally that it has to be. I mean, people do progress to ethical and moral reasons once they become healthy. Maybe you look at the health. I mean, I never give it a thought when I was young. I didn't even know it was healthy for you. That was just a wonderful. That was a wonderful bonus. That was just an added bonus. I never give it a thought. I didn't even give it a thought. It was good for the planet. All I was thinking about were the animals. And we still do, but you know, we'll talk about how we feel the vegan movement's gone a bit later, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. And say when you again adopted and became a plant-based vegan professional footballer, you know, how was it received among your fellow players and even like the manager or the coaching staff? You know, because they would have had, while you weren't broadcasting it, they would have had some form of awareness, I'm sure, because you do eat together as footballers. There'd be canteens or out and about. How was it received?
It was, I suppose, it was a novelty for them, really. You know, it was a novelty for these people, my friends, my teammates. It was well received, but there was a lot of mickey taking. And it was, and I don't mean this. Again, I'm not being nasty. It was just out of ignorance, really. I'm not saying they were ignorant people, ignorant to veganism. Exactly. No, there was a lot of mickey taking about it. You know, the managing. So they didn't. I never once, I keep saying it, I've said it in my talks, you've heard me at my talks, you know, it's never one player, never one teammate, never one coach, never one manager has ever pulled me aside or had ever pulled me aside and say, look, Neil, you know, your performance is suffering or your fitness is suffering because you're being a vegan. Never once. No, they may have thought I was a hopeless player or a crap player, but fitness-wise, there was never an issue, you know. And that's why I was, you know, for me, that was a plus because, you know, I didn't go around broadcasting it, but they didn't know I was a vegan. I was one of the fittest, one of the first three fittest at every club I ever played at, you know. So I was quite proud of that.
Yeah. Well, you achieved a hell of a lot in your professional career, you know, and you played with some, you know, what are seen as legends now, especially at Everton. You know, and as you said, you're always in the top 3 fittest. So that says a lot for, you know, what the nutrition was doing for your body, because at the end of the day, especially when it comes to performance and recovery, you know, we are what we eat. And one thing I would see probably is happening with footballers, like with any athletes, again, one, there's the ignorance of the facts, of course, but also there's that fear of giving up the protein, giving up all these supplements, and, you know, that they won't get the same performance. Because as well, while they have professional nutritionists and everything, what I've seen with a lot of these, again, professional nutritionists and what they teach, it's still very outdated towards the information that should be put out there. It's really outdated. So you've got the nutritionists who are seen as they know everything, but they're 10, 20 years behind. And then they're giving that to the players. And players might see people like yourself or Dean or some others who are there now, or other athletes who are now vegan. While it might click a little bit, they still have that fear in their mind that, look, maybe I mightn't have adequate protein and supplements and all this type of stuff if I adopt it. So, you know, especially when there's so much money involved these days as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they've only got to look at like yourself as examples. People who do ultra sports like yourself, you know. Fiona Oakes does like marathons, you know, she's done 7 consecutive marathons. What she achieves.
Unbelievable.
Scott Jurek, you know, ultra marathon runners, you know, why did he question? Why did he question what is my energy going to suffer? It baffles me. And as you're right, you know, these expert nutritionists, you know, they must look at that and think, oh, they've got a point, these people, you know, but as I say, it's still in the dark ages. I can't wait for the day when another vegan footballer comes along in the UK, you know, and a quite known one. I know there's been advertised, I think Aguero supposedly was a vegetarian or is vegetarian.
That's right.
I don't know. And I don't know how serious they are, you know. Jason Roberts was a vegetarian during the season, but off season he became a meat eater again. You know, I just find it a bit baffling.
That doesn't make much sense.
Hey?
Doing that doesn't actually make much sense in terms of why he was doing that, but again, that's what he felt was right at the time, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's baffling, Dave. It really is.
Yeah. But this is where, you know, it's important that, again, people like yourself and, you know, other people around the world that, you know, that they should just keep doing their bit to keep raising awareness, because the main thing is that the seed gets sown in these professional athletes just as well as like the viewers, any Joe so around the world, because all it takes is one person for it to click, and then they tell someone else, and the reality is not everyone is going to listen and implement, but even if like 1 out of 10 do, it's going to grow and grow and grow. And that's where even right now, like we discussed earlier, it's become a bit like a snowball. Like the last couple of years, the progress has been incredible compared to even the previous 20 years. And that's only going to keep going, especially with social media and websites and seminars, and there's online seminars, and there's so much stuff going on. And like this, for us to be able to broadcast this for people all over the world to just get my perspective and get your perspective, and hopefully take something from this call and make a few changes in their life, and hopefully they'll then see a difference as well, and then that'll impart onto their families and friends, and you know, it all just keeps like a snowball, just keeps growing and growing.
Exactly, yeah. And I want to be positive about it, and it is, the awareness is growing, and it's not going to get any less. It is picking up momentum. It is a snowball effect at the moment. I'm looking forward to 2016, what that brings. 2015 was great for vegan awareness. It's just a little bit sad though. I think the stats still show that, you know, meat consumption is still, it's still as it was, really, maybe even more than when I first became vegan. And so we've really got to try and address that, you know, and get more. It's, as you say, it's grassroots, and it's about vegan outreach, social media. I'm pretty crap on social media, but you know, I realize the importance of it. So yeah, and it's definitely getting out there, which is what I want to do with other projects that I've got in mind. So
of course, let's just jump back again into during your career. Obviously things are very different now, and the availability of food and awareness of options nutritionally for people these days who want to be vegan. Take back again, when you go back that many years, there wasn't your typical vegan products or processed vegan products. There wasn't any of that. Take the listeners through, what was a typical day for you nutritionally when you're a plant-based vegan professional footballer?
Well, I mean, it literally was based around, at that time, I used to eat a lot of nuts, beans, vegetables. I even made my own tofu back in the day there. Used to make my own tofu. I bought books on it, how to make it. And,
excellent.
It was quite enjoyable making that. So, yeah, so you make your own stuff, you know, because I was still, at that time, still in the mindset of a sportsman and thinking of a high protein diet. I used to, you know, gorge on nuts and beans and tofu, and I'd get protein powders as well, like. But lots of cereals. I still do now. I enjoy cereals, but not refined ones a lot. You know, I always I love having just a bowl of porridge or a bowl of oats with raisins and bananas and that. So that's a bowl of cereal for me. That's my bowl of cereal. Yeah,
a healthy bowl of cereal.
Yeah, but pre-match, I mean, it was very basic, Dave. You know, I just used to ask for, initially, I used to ask for beans on toast for a pre-match. pre-game.
Yeah.
Most players are still in the mindset then of steak and chips and all that sort of rubbish. So I had beans on toast. I did eventually just progress then the last few years. Let's say about the last 5 years or more, maybe for pre-match games, I'd have bananas on toast.
Okay.
And literally, that was it, which has become quite the norm, really.
Yeah. Quite simple, but at the end of the day, it was proper energy. You were getting proper energy into your body. Yeah. Compared to like that steak and chips before a match is pretty crazy. Especially like these days, they have advanced it while they still eat meat. They do at least have better quality food. When back then, like steak and chips isn't exactly the best pre-match preparation.
No. I mean, it doesn't alter your performance skill-wise, but it would alter your performance fitness-wise.
Yeah, for sure.
But back in the day, then I was still eating fatty foods. I wasn't on the low-fat diet that I'm on now. I'd still eat foods that were, I'd still fry foods, probably, fry mushrooms or fry onions. I'd add oil into meals, and I don't do any of that now. I've been doing that since the year 2000. But so my diet has changed, although it's fundamentally the same. Fruits, vegetables, grains, etc. It's changed dramatically from a point of view that I don't have any added fats in the diet now.
And explain a bit, like you've touched on, the way your nutrition is right now, and it's low fat, high carb. Explain again now your typical lifestyle and nutritionally, but also your reasons and what led you to that decision to make those changes.
Yeah, well, it was in. How long have we got, Dave? We've only got till 9 o'clock, haven't we?
Plenty of time.
About 1999. I owned a gym where I live now in Widnes. I co-owned a gym, a fitness centre. We opened that up in 1995. And in 1999, we had to sell it for money problems. But that final year, even after I'd sold the gym, I got really heavily into bodybuilding. And I've always loved bodybuilding anyway, but I hate it now. But I got into bodybuilding, and I went from about, a 10-stone weakling. I went up to about nearly 15 stone in about 12 months. Okay. And not all muscle, I hazard to say. I had a bit of a belly on me then. But I was training really hard, and I was just eating everything in sight. I mean, loads of nuts, loads of chips, really crap. I started the diet it was still vegan, by the way. I would never ever, never go against a vegan diet, plant-based diet. So I was eating a load of rubbish. And about the same time, I just started thinking about my own mortality, because 2 of my brothers have had heart attacks. They're still alive, by the way, thankfully. In their early 50s, they had heart attacks. And I just started thinking about my own mortality. And I was thinking, well, okay, if 2 of my brothers have had heart attacks, when am I going to have mine? And I just worried myself sick for 6 months into a breakdown. I did have a breakdown, actually. And I thought, I went to the doctors and said, look, I'm getting these palpitations. I'm getting phantom chest pains. I think I'm going to have a heart attack. If you send me for an ECG, and the ECG is clear, because I know it'll be clear, I'll be fine then. All the stress and tension will go. So he sent me for an ECG. And I had the ECG, and the nurse came in and said, okay, I said, can I go home now? I said, no, you're not going anywhere. You'll be keeping you in. I said, well, why? So you've had a heart attack. I thought the last thing I wanted to hear was that I'd had a heart attack, So they kept me in for 5 days. I hadn't had one, by the way. It was the fact that I was so stressed out. My resting pulse was 130. And I think the ECG, I just gave the ECG a blip. So anyway, on the back of that, thinking I was going to have a heart attack, I thought I'm going to have to change my diet dramatically again. I lost all that weight in about 3-4 weeks. I went down from 15 stone to about 10.5 stone, 11 stone again. And I just did, as soon as I came out of hospital, I did research on low-fat vegan diets. I'd known about one previously, but it wasn't a vegan diet, a low-fat diet by a guy called Nathan Pritchard, called the Pritchard diet. You can research on him. He was like sort of the originator of really low-fat diet. And Yeah, I stumbled on the internet and a guy called Dr. John McDougall, and his new book out at that time was about the healthy heart. I think the healthy heart book, and I read the book, and
Something
it
like
just
that.
made perfect sense to me. I read the book. It was all plant based, and I've just followed that regimen ever since 2000 to this day, and it's just basically, you know, it's a vegan diet, it's a plant-based diet, but low fat, less than 10% of your calories from oils and fats. Don't add any oils or fats to your diet, to your foods or your meals. Keep nuts and seeds low. I don't really have them, to be honest. So that's been it since then, year 2000, Dave. It
Yeah.
was because I had a little nervous breakdown. I started to eat a poor diet. It was still vegan, but it was poor.
I think that's the big thing though for the viewers and listeners to grasp, especially those who aren't vegan yet and maybe are considering it, which I know there's quite a few on. Being vegan doesn't guarantee you're healthy, which
Oh, no,
everyone think.
absolutely.
There are many unhealthy vegans, many. The big
Well,
difference is, and the important word is whole food. Whole
yeah,
food based vegan. That's it. Like that's the way Neil would live. That's the way I predominantly live. So it's eating actual food versus loads of processed foods. And as
yeah,
Neil has shared, like with fats, having bad fats is a no-no anyway. Obviously, like everything, moderation. Every so often, it's not going to literally kill you, but it needs to be moderation. Things in like nuts, seeds, oils, avocados, coconut oil, stuff like that. While they have their health benefits, it's still important not to OD on them as well. And keep them to
exactly.
a smaller amount because they are higher calories. It's 9 calories per gram versus, we say, a banana or rice or anything like that is 4 calories per gram. So you're taking in way more calories, way more stress in your body, way more fat in your body if you're ODing on them. So you just have to be careful. And again, look at what Neil has shared. He was eating vegan. He was eating quite healthy as a footballer. Then for a period of his life, he was eating huge amounts, but not necessarily focusing on it being healthy food. It was just vegan food, and it led to him then having this situation where he was in major danger of having a heart attack and had to break down. Whereas now look at the way he's lived since 2000, Neil said, isn't it? Year 2000?
Yeah, 2000. Yeah,
So 16, yeah, on his 16th year now, you can see how healthy he looks, and also, going to get him to share as well what he recently did, an incredible feat he did, but also he is in the gym every morning, like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning without fail. So, this is what you can do if you're eating the right kind of food, because remember, your food is your fuel. You need to focus on eating the right kind of foods and keep the crap kind of stuff to moderation, and that includes fats, which is important. Neil, share with people what you did recently. Like, it was an incredible feat. You spoke about it many times. You spoke about it in depth this morning about the challenges you faced. But share with people what you actually did, because it's more proof of the power of plant power, basically, of what it can do for your body and what you're capable of doing.
yeah. What I feel it can do. Did you say the end?
Yeah, like your cycle event. Like, just share with people exactly what it was, because it's quite an incredible achievement what you did, and you didn't even have
Yeah,
the ideal preparation.
yeah. Well, I conceived this idea. I met Dean Howell, the other vegan footballer. I've met him a couple of times anyway. I knew him previously. I met him in, I think it was 2014 at the Veg Fest in London. And we had a chat, and I just came up with the idea. I said, look, me and you as the vegan footballers, the only two vegan footballers on the planet, or in the UK, ex-footballers, we should do something for charity, really, and just show what vegans can do still, And I said, do you fancy doing a long-distance walk? And he said, no, I fancy doing a cycle ride. So I said, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a bike, to be honest. So, yeah, we conceived the idea. We were going to do the Tour of Britain route at that time, but logistically it wasn't really possible. And then we just came up with the famous Land's End to John O'Groats ride. Some people do it in quite a lot of days. You can do it in 2 weeks or 12 days. But there was one tour operator doing it in 9 days, and I thought, that's what we've got to do it, and we've got to do it in 9 days. So that was it. The idea was hatched in October, and we planned to do it in the May of 2015. So it gave us quite a few months to get ready for it. So I did all the research, set it all up, and got the maps, blah blah blah. Set it all up for the. We also recruited. It was myself and Dean. In fact, you was going to be in with us, Dave, wasn't you?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a team of about 10 people at that time. Famous sports athletes, but due to the lack of funding, I had to pull the plug about a couple of months away from the beginning, didn't I? Sadly.
Yeah. Right. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So you was going to be one of the star cyclists there, Dave.
The main thing is you didn't let it beat you, though, and you went ahead and did the event just with a smaller number. So it was great that you didn't let it beat you at the time, because many people would have.
No, because originally it was just going to be me and Dean. So I thought, well, we'll go back to the original plan. But Dean did know a guy called Tris West, who was a rock climber in Bristol, and a keen cyclist. And I mean, a really fit cyclist. So we thought, yeah, let's recruit him. He's a vegan as well. So ended up the three of us. I didn't get my bike till February, and we were due to leave in end of May. I didn't even get a bike till then. Although I'd been training on a spinning bike in the gym since the October, November time before that. Do you train on a spinning bike at all, Dave?
Yeah, I choose to spin bike, especially in the wintry kind of season. Obviously, here in Lanzarote, there's no winter, thankfully, so I can go outside all the time. When I was in UK and Ireland, there's certain times of the year you need to be on a spin bike. Plus, it's something different as well. It's good to vary things up.
It is. It's great for fitness. It's great for your health. I thought I was really fit. I was trying to emulate stuff I would do on a road bike because I didn't have a bike. I was training up for about 3 or 4 months till I got the bike, and I went out on a bike, and it was absolutely useless. All that training previous was useless until you go out on the street. You know yourself, Dave. You go out on the road. You got the hills, the inclines, the wind resistance. Yeah. Totally different.
Yeah, this is where it's important to have a mix. Say for people who are cyclists or triathletes, you would never do all road or all spin bike. You need to have a mix of it, because, as you said, you go out and suddenly there's hills and wind and traffic and whatever. So you can't replicate that inside, but you can work on core fitness and heart and lungs, of course, and leg strength. But you need to be getting outside too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like training to be a marathon on the treadmill all the time. Just do 26 miles. It's just totally different, because on the treadmill you're preventing yourself from going backwards, whereas on the road you're propelling yourself forward. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so I got the bike. I eventually bought a bike in the February, which would have given me, about 4 months. Was it maybe 4 months to get fit? Yeah. But I'd sustained a few injuries. I had a couple of knee injuries and an ankle, a foot injury. So we had to put the cycle ride back till the end of June. So which would have given me 6 months total time. I only actually got 12 months training in, 12 weeks training. Sorry, 12 weeks training in. But that was fragmented as well. It wasn't like 12 weeks continuous. It was like a week here, 2 weeks there. So my fitness level going into the 9 days was absolutely woeful, really. I thought it was okay. I was putting in a lot of mileage. I only ever did my first 100-mile training session 1 week before we left. I only ever did 100-miler. We were supposed to be doing 100 miles every day for 9 days consecutively. Yeah. So the training was absolutely woeful, really. My fitness was woeful going into it. And the donations weren't good as well. We were doing it to aid 13 vegan charities and animal charities, and the donations weren't good. So I went into it a little bit depressed, really. And but we turned it into, me, Dean, and Trish, we turned it into let's try and achieve this. Let's do this for ourselves and for veganism, And we completed it. We did the 9 days, averaged out 108 miles a day. I did it. I didn't stop once. So I was ever so proud to do it. But what made me ever so proud was that fact that I did it as a high carb, low fat vegan. People look at you don't want to be eating high carb. You don't want to be eating low fat. In fact, Dean is a lovely bloke and we get on great. We're sort of opposite on the diet. Although we're both vegan, Dean likes eats more fatty foods. Eats a lot of coconut oil. So it's a little bit polar opposite to me on the dietary side. So it was nice to think I could. Fitness-wise, I couldn't even compete with Dean or Tris. They were absolutely super fit. I was always the last one in.
Yeah.
But I didn't give up anything. In fact, I've come up with a new term for myself. Have you heard of the Quantock Hills?
The Quantock Hill.
The Quantock Hills, they're in Somerset.
Okay.
Now, that was the second day we had to negotiate the Quantock Hills. Now, my hill climbing was awful anyway, and I'll tell you another reason why that was. But the Quantock Hills was, it was horrible. I've never felt so awful. I did actually want to quit. Not quit. I didn't want to quit the 9 days. I just wanted to quit riding on the bike at that point. I wanted to get off the bike. But I was ever so proud that I didn't stop. I never got off the bike once during the whole 9 days. So I was very proud. But the term I've come up with, if I'm training now in the gym and it reaches a point where, I feel a little bit tired, I always say, well, look, no, you're okay. You're not in the Quantock zone yet. The Quantock zone, it's the zone where you just want to stop.
That's the new wall.
Yeah, training. If I train now in the gym, I feel a bit knackered. I go, no, we're not in the Quantock zone yet. So
yeah, good.
But it was hard. It was. I have to say, the scenery was beautiful for the 9 days, but I didn't enjoy anything. I did not enjoy a second of it. It was torturous for me.
Yeah. Because
my fitness level was so low, and also mechanically, I'm not built to ride a bike because I've got bandy legs as a footballer. Instead of me legs pumping up and down like pistons straight up and down, they jut out to the side. Yeah. So I lost a lot of power with the knees going out. A lot of the power from the thighs was lost, which hence meant that I wasn't very good going up the hills, So
yeah, but at the same time, it proved what a wonderful achievement it was, and mentally, obviously, it was a huge factor. That mentally, you were very strong, especially with the preparation. You didn't have the ideal preparation at all.
No.
But again, from a nutritional point of view, it just showed the power that for 9 days you did an average of 108 miles a day. For someone to do that once in a year sounds incredible, but to do 9 days of that, just shows again, if you're feeding yourself the right foods, again, as you said, whole food, plant-based nutrition, that's what you need to put into your body for maximum performance, maximum recovery. And Neil has been proof of that in what he did in that event. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and by the way, I was 25 years old and Dean and Chris as well, so I was quite. I mean, there are fellas that are much older than me that are super cyclists and super fit on cyclists, but because of the lack of training, you're right. I was ever so proud to do it, and it was for veganism really, because I mean, we put our heads. I did certainly. They were young guys and very fit. I went into the cycle ride undertrained, not mechanically right for cycling. And I put my head on the chopping block, to be honest. If I hadn't have done it, Dave, clearly the excuse would have been, well, he's a vegan.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I was ever so proud to do it and achieve it. I'm not too sure I ever want to do it again, but the fact that I did it as a vegan, as a low-fat, high-carb vegan, was an added bonus as well. I didn't give in. No one can ever accuse me for giving in. In fact, I could have given in on about the third or fourth day. I had a puncture on the first day. Dean had a puncture. I had a puncture on the second day. I think on the third day, one of my pedals broke. Yeah. Just to go on about the mental side of it, I was proud of the mental side of it, because that day when my pedal broke, I had to let Dean and Trish go on to the camp while my brother, who was supporting us, came back to me. He had to drive me 20 miles to the local Halfords to get the pedal repaired. And I was at a point where I thought, I just want to pack in. I'm going home now. But I said to John, no, take me back 20 miles to where we stopped, where the pedal broke. And I got on the bike and I pedaled the last 30 miles again on my own. And this was like 10:30 at night I arrived back. So I was ever so proud, that I could have given in. But it was always that in the back of the mind, this is for vegans. This is, I cannot give in.
That was your mission. That's fantastic. Yeah. It's a wonderful achievement, and again, another big tick in the box for towards veganism and athletes or performance based, whether someone's recreational or they're at the highest level, that what the body can do when it's fed the right food. There's a question that came in actually from someone in Liverpool. Actually, I'm just going to read it out for you, Neil, and you can give your perspective on it. I'm a mum from Liverpool, and I'm keen to introduce a more ethical way to stay healthy without pain to animals and more healthy for our bodies? What type of tips would you give for me?
So clearly she wants to go vegan, or that's the only recommendation. Yeah. For me, it's just become a vegan. And you were on before about what was it like when I was younger. There's so much stuff out there now on the internet. Whoever asked the question, thanks very much for the question. There's so much research out there. You listen to guys like Dave who are clued up. It's just looking at it. It's lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, grains. I'm more of a starchy-based person as well. I try to eat. Dave will tell you more about the alkaline diet. I try to eat alkaline, but I drink lots of water to keep me alkaline. Dave is a bit more of an expert on all that. I'm not alkaline totally at all. I just like to try and eat a lot of fresh foods, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. Smoothies are a good way to get nutrition down you as well. Get yourself a blender if you haven't got one. I try to start the day. I sort of mix it up really. Most of the days, get a good smoothie down on the first thing in the morning. Get a lot of nourishment, and I get lots of fruits and vegetables in the smoothie. But just research it, and it's out there. There's lots of websites. There's loads of websites now. In fact, if you go on one called, have you heard of Gary Francione, Dave? Gary Francione.
Yeah.
He's got one called howdoigovegan.com, literally howdoigovegan.com. So I would advise you to go on there. Explains all about the ethical reasons and why, the moral reasons, and dietary tips as well. There's loads of research out there, as I say, there's different ways of having the diet, like I was on about before, myself and Dean were vegan, but different ways of looking at the vegan diet. I keep saying vegan diet, and I shout at people for saying vegan diet. It's a plant-based diet. I don't know whether that's clear enough for the person who. What was the person's name, by the way?
And the name wasn't given, actually.
Okay. Well, thanks for the question. I hope lots of research. There's loads of resources out there. The Vegan Society can help you. But I say if you go on howdoigovegan.com, it quite literally takes you all the way through it.
Yeah. And just to add to that as well, Nate, because that's important tips you gave, and thanks for giving that website as well. That's great. The main thing is anyone who's listening who this has made sense to, or even before you come on, this is just re-emphasized that you do want to adopt a plant-based vegan lifestyle. Focus just on making small changes. Focus on going vegan, but don't get too hung up on even, it's important, obviously, long-term, you have nutritional balance and everything, but all that matters is that you go plant-based first. And if you are eating like processed foods initially, they're great to transition with, especially if you're used to eating sausages or sausage rolls or burgers or nuggets or whatever. While it's not the healthiest way to eat, it's okay for transitioning. If you're having some of those foods and over time introduce things more like pulses and beans and lentils and chickpeas and all that kind of stuff, and experiment. Just be willing to experiment. And as Neil has said, there is just so much information out there, so many websites, so many books, so many people willing to share what they're doing. Our Facebook groups, Instagram, it's endless. So the only thing what I always tell people is be willing to, one, be open-minded, try different foods that you haven't tried before, and experiment. Experiment with different recipes. If you take when Neil went vegan 36 years ago now, there wasn't a lot out there, wasn't a lot of information, wasn't a lot of recipes, wasn't websites, wasn't books, there was nothing. Neil just had to work off right. I'll eat loads of fruit, eat lots of veg, I'll eat lots of bread, potatoes, rice, that type of stuff. Very basic. It would have been very basic. Not tasteless, but it wouldn't have been overly enjoyable. I'm sure Neil even admit it was more just what he needed to do. Whereas now you can make the most amazing foods. And it's like even with me, I'm only my 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm in my 5th year of being plant-based. I have never eaten nicer food in my life than I have over this 5-year period. What I thought was nice before isn't a patch in what it is now, because plant-based food is so tasty. You just have to experiment and try different things.
Yeah. Well, 2 points there, Dave. You're right. You're correct. Now, you're right about the processed foods. They call them fake meats, don't they? Fake food, fake faux food. I am in favour of them. I don't eat them anymore. I used to eat them years and years ago. I cook all the food, and I actually cook food. I don't sort of buy any. The only processed stuff I have is maybe a tin of beans or a tin of tomatoes in meal. But the fake foods are superb now. I don't eat them. The likes of Gary Francione, I love. I think he's great. His ethos and everything about the abolitionist veganism, which is what I promote as well. But he's against fake foods. But what you're saying there, they are great for transitioning. And there's so much, as you say, there's so much stuff out there now from the fake foods. Explore them. It does help you transition through. And then you may want to just start thinking, okay, we'll get off the processed stuff and start cooking our own stuff. I make my own. I cook all my own stuff. I make my own oat milk. I make my own bread. All the meals. I make all the meals in the house. But I make the food. I've thrown the microwave away. We don't have a microwave anymore. I'm not saying everyone should do that. They're very convenient. I just decided, well, we don't need it anymore. You read about microwave food as well. So, transition, get through the transition period. You can still incorporate them if you want. You can incorporate them for life if you want. But if you want to start eating a bit healthier, because I eat the low-fat foods, because a lot of processed food is high fat as well. So just be aware of that. You're going to eat the processed foods.
Exactly.
Especially if you're a cheese lover and you're transitioning to vegan cheese. Well, cheese in itself is high fat anyway. So, yeah, enjoy it. Transition. Keep it if you want it. But if you want to just sort of phase it out or have it every now and again, as David, moderation. And then, think about cooking all your own food. People, it's convenience, isn't it, Dave? We don't cook. People don't cook enough of their own meals because it's convenience. You can't be bothered. But what did our mums and dads do? They didn't have microwaves. They had to cook a meal. My mum had to cook a meal for 7 of us.
Yeah.
But they got on with it. They got on with it because that's all it was. So I've just sort of gone back to that. It doesn't bother me cooking now.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, a lot of time it's quicker than the convenience. It's like someone putting pizza in the oven. A packet pizza and waiting 20, 30 minutes for it to bake. You could whip up a 10, 15 minutes, or even a curry or whatever it might be, or stir fry. Stir fry is 10 minutes. So it isn't that hard. That's an experiment. Try different foods. Try different recipes. And again, there's just such a wide variety of them. It's unlimited, the amount of different recipes you could have. It's like with Go Vegan Grow with our membership and all. Like, we've got hundreds of recipes on our site, and that's only a tip of the iceberg of the amount of recipes that are actually out there.
There's loads of vegan books out there, vegan recipe books. One of my favorite websites is the fatfreevegan.com. If you want to give that, if your listeners want to give that a check out as well. That's a good resource. But you're right. There's so much information out there now. It's easy to do it if you want to do it. It's easy now. It really is. Don't be worried about it. Your health. You're not going to die. It annoys me when you hear these people who've been vegan. There's been, I forget the girl's name now. I don't even want to know the girl's name. Someone on Facebook and Twitter recently, wasn't there? Made a bit of a fuss out. These people who go vegan and they become anti-vegan. Then it annoys me. Angelina Jolie was a vegan, but she stopped being a vegan because she said it nearly killed her. Well, that's a grown woman couldn't nourish herself properly. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
And listen, there's other factors at play. Like at the end of the day, if she was feeding the body the right foods, it'll thrive. And then if there's other, abuse or whatever might be going on nutritionally or whatever substance, that's going to have an impact as well. So this is where celebrities and famous people can be fantastic in terms of getting the word out there, but also can be very damaging. So for viewers, be very, when you see a celebrity, whether they're going on it or they're going off it, just try to see behind what's actually going on there. Try to see a reason. Like if they go off, say it's nearly killed them, like that doesn't even make sense. So don't kind of grab hold of that sensational headline, because remember, it is the media as well.
Oh yeah, it nearly killed her. I don't know. She's probably a vegan for about 12 months. Well, I've been vegan for 36 years. I think there's other guys who we know. Roger Yates, Roger Yates, check him out, Roger. He's been vegan 37 years. We're still alive. We're still here. Yeah. Because we just and we researched it. What is.
It's like my son is vegan since birth, and he's now 10 and a half. And that's what was a big reason for me looking into a vegan lifestyle, was watching his development, the speed of it, how on how healthy he was. Never got a cold for, I think it was 4 or 5 years, which is unheard of for a newborn baby. Cognition-wise, brain, everything was amazing. And that's what stimulated me to look into it more and eventually adopt this lifestyle. So, you know, there's so much proof out there. Just don't get caught up in the sensationalism in the media sometimes.
Well, that's it. No, that's fantastic. You know, my daughter's got 2 children now. Ollie's 4 shortly, and Beatrix, she's nearly 3 months old now. They're vegan. They've been brought up as vegan. Yeah, Ollie's fancy, in great health. But you know what? You know, people worry about. You know, am I going to be healthy on a vegan diet? Well, you're actually unhealthy on a meat diet, to be honest. What is going to kill you is staying on an animal foods diet. That's what is going to kill you. That's for sure. You know, and people don't realize that, though. They don't. You know, there's a lot of research and medical research out there now backing up what we've known for years, that animal foods actually kill you in the end. You know, and that's I firmly believe that. I've always believed that ever since the day I became vegan. You know, you start thinking about it. You know, animal foods are so hazardous to human health.
Yeah.
You know about your kids, the kids. You know, we give kids milk, cow's milk. What's that all about? You know, it's nonsense. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm just seeing here another question.
Okay.
Question. Valerie here is saying, excellent interview. I've been doing raw for a few years now. Came up in front of a few roadblocks with allergies with other foods. Fabulous interview, David. Some fantastic tips. Thank you. And also, she doesn't own a microwave either. So that's good to hear, Valerie.
Good.
So nice positive comments. And thanks for putting them in, Valerie, because as I said to start, it is nice for presenters to hear that what you're sharing is making an impact in you and that you're benefiting from it, because you are investing your own valuable time. You know, we value our time, but also you value your time, and we value your time. So it's important to get feedback from you. And we just have a couple of minutes left, and I want to, you know, allow you to, you know, share a bit with people. You know, what does 216 hold for Neil Robinson? You know, what have you got lined up? What are the kind of projects? I know you're so passionate, which has come across, so passionate about animal rights and, you know, the whole plant-based movement, and you're doing some great work in it and setting up some great projects. Some of the stuff that you're doing, and also how even they maybe can get involved, help you, and also how they can get in contact with you should any of them want to or follow you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, if they want to contact me, it's they go on my website. I don't really keep the website very updated, really, but it's just neil@neilrobinsonvegan.com. Neil@neilrobinsonvegan.com. Yeah. And what I want to do this year, about 7 years ago, myself and my brother came up with the idea of a website called The Peaceful Planet, and it was to try and get a global movement going on the internet to sort of embrace a vegan lifestyle. And things in life got in the way. We sort of let it go by the wayside, and we just sort of resurrected it recently. I'm sort of in the middle of doing a new website for it now. So we're going to hopefully relaunch that maybe the end of this month or sometime next month. And that's called thepeacefulplanet.org. And that's about now, you know, what I was saying earlier, that, you know, veganism, you know, people look upon veganism, and I've been mistakenly saying it as well tonight. We look upon veganism as a diet, and it's not, it's a lifestyle. But what we're looking at, what it is really, it's a social justice movement as well, you know? Yeah. It's a lifestyle, it's an ethical and moral social justice movement. It's not just for animals, it's mostly for animals. That's the reason why I got into it for. But it's about human discrimination, you know, all oppression, discrimination for humans and non-humans. And so the Peaceful Planet's about that, and it's how we can address that, you know, and how we can sort of engender peace on the planet and try and create this grassroots global movement. So we sort of come up with 6 principles. How we fix the time, Dave? Okay.
You're okay, yeah, far away. It's important you share this type of information because people do need to know this type of work you're doing. Yeah,
so it's the Peaceful Planet is about an ethos of trying to engender peace on the planet. You know, it's the right for every human and non-human animal to live a life free from fear of discrimination and oppression and abuse and, you know, speciesism and slaughter. So it's underpinning all that is the vegan lifestyle. It underpins it all. We've got 5 other principles to it. So that's one of the principles: abolitionist veganism. We've got 5 other principles to bring about global peace. Now, peace is not just non-violence. Yes, we all think peace as a non-violent planet, but that doesn't just bring about peace. You know, we're looking at inner peace as well. You know, we've got a health and mental well-being as well, and so we're looking at that as well. So we've got abolitionist veganism. We've sort of prefixed all these principles by the word peaceful. So you may think it sounds corny or whatever. So it's peaceful abolition.
Yeah.
You know, the next one is peaceful creativity. So that includes free education for all. It's promoting creativity for all kids. You know, I don't know if people know or yourself know, my brother is Sir Ken Robinson. If you Google Sir Ken Robinson, you know, he's a world-renowned expert on creativity in education. So, you know, it's under the Declaration of Human Rights, free education. I think it's Article 26. It's a right. It's a right that we should be given free education. Certainly in the fundamental and early years, we all need free education. Now, there's only about 1 in 10 kids are at school globally, or 1 in 10. Sorry, no, 1 in 10 kids aren't offered the chance of an education. So we need to address those things. So it's peaceful creativity. We've got peaceful health, which the plant-based diet, I call it plant exclusive, addresses, you know, and how the health of the planet, animals and humans can benefit from a plant exclusive diet. Also looking at the corrupt monetary system, because, you know, we can't sort of engender peace from within if we're not happy, you know, and a lot of the unhappiness on the planet is through the corrupt economic system on the planet. You know, how money is created. It's all phony money. I don't want to go into things too deeply here, you know, but it's all on. It'll all be on the website. We're going to. So it's the economic system. We want to try and sort of get an alternative economic system, and it's peaceful interaction. So it's how we all interact non-violently. You know, there's a lot of discriminations on the planet. It's the intersectionality of all the discriminations. You know, racism, you know, homophobism, xenophobism. You know, trying to get. So veganism sort of can help to address all this as well. And obviously the last one we call peaceful living. So it's about sustainable living, you know, how we can all live sustainably without compromising the earth's resources. And that's all underpinned by a vegan, vegan, organic, stock-free network. So and vegan permaculture as well. So it's based on those 6 principles. You know, peace in itself is not, you know, if we go back to, we don't particularly like single issue campaigns within veganism. You know, we want it. It's got to be a global thing. All animals suffer, so we want all animals to be, you know, alive. It's so similarly, peace itself is not a single issue campaign. You know, there's a lot of things that brings about. Yes, it's about non-violence, but it's also about inner peace as well. So anyway, so the website will be coming out shortly, and hopefully, you know, we'll try and launch.
Yeah.
Sorry?
So www.peacefulplanet.org.
It's www.thepeacefulplanet.org.
Yeah, okay, thepeacefulplanet.org.
It's just a holding page there at the moment. It's just under construction still. But if people want to look back, and I'll tell you about it when it's going to be launched as well.
Do make sure you share it with our followers, because you know that's wonderful work you're doing, and I'm sure the viewers can appreciate the power of that. And every single one of those areas is so important that it is addressed. And again, like the whole plant-based lifestyle, there needs to be more awareness, like the monetary system and you know the way the world is run, and you know the education. People aren't aware of these things, so it's a wonderful project you're doing that's going to raise awareness.
Well, that's it. You know, I mean, as I say, most importantly, veganism underpins all that. But you know, veganism alone doesn't bring peace. It's a non-violent lifestyle, but that is, you know, we want inner peace. You know, it's how can we have peace on the planet through non-violence, yet we're watching kids die of poverty and hunger? You know, that's not peace for me. That isn't peace. You know, so it's trying to address all that. You know, so hopefully we'd want to get out there, maybe do some vegan outreach on that, or peaceful planet outreach. might do the Veg Fest. I think you're going to do the Veg Fest.
Yeah, I'll be doing the Veg Fest this year, Brighton, Bristol, London, and Scotland, wherever it's on in Scotland. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, and if Tim Barford's listening, or if anyone knows of Tim Barford, thanks very much for Tim for putting on the Veg Fest, because he alone has raised awareness of veganism, you know, tenfold. You know, he's done a great, yeah. And the ethos has changed as well.
Yeah.
The total ethos of Veg Fest has changed now for the better. I feel, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing what they've achieved in such a short space of time. Like, Tim is meant to be on, so I hope he's on and hope you can hear us, Tim. But if you're not, you might hear the replay. But yeah, it's amazing growth that VegFest has gone through. And if you look at the speakers and the people they've had involved, and you know, something like, was it 15,000 people went through London last year. I'm sure it'll be bigger again this year. So this is where the whole plant-based movement is gathering pace, and it's people like Tim who are creating, you know, things like VegFest and putting so much, literally their whole lives into it. That's how it's going to, you know, gather pace. And in the end, as we discussed earlier, you know, plant-based movement will win in the end. The majority of the world will move that way, and that will have the impact on the animals and on the planet, and then all the other areas that Neil has spoken of as well.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I'm convinced we will win in the end. It may not happen in my lifetime. You know, it may not happen in my kids' lifetime, but we have to make a start. We've got to keep it going. You know, the momentum's it's building up. We will win in the end. I'm convinced of it. You know, because you know, we've got these big money men like Bill Gates and all that now. They're investing in plant foods as well, plant-based foods now. So they're hedging the bets now. They've still got the money in animal agriculture, but they're hedging the bets now because they see that there's a shift now. You know, and there will be a paradigm shift all the way. So they, you know, when you see money men investing as well, we know we're onto something. Yeah,
for sure. Oh no, no doubt. And this is why it's important. Like, this is why I congratulate you guys for being on this and investing your time, because millions and millions of people should be on this and they're not. So you guys are. Yeah. What's important is that you take what you've learned and what has given you a bit of a spark, implement it yourself, share it with your family, share it with your friends, share it in social media. Tell people about what Neil's doing, what I'm doing with Go Vegan Grow. Get people to go to my website, Neil's website, other people's websites. The more people know, the more people are aware, the more education they get, the more it has to make sense. You know, it's getting away from being ignorant to the facts to then knowing what the facts are. And more people than not are going to adopt a plant-based lifestyle. It may not be overnight, but in time it will happen, because once the seed is sown and you understand how the whole food industry and everything works, you can see no other way but to adopt a plant-based lifestyle. And you know, as I always say, there's a whole element of doing it for yourself, for your own health. Also, there's for the animals and there's for the planet. You know, so it's like with Go Vegan Grow, like our tagline: save yourselves, save animals, save the planet. So you know, it has a huge impact on, you know, a bigger picture than just you eating just plant-based food. So just keep sharing the information. Share this replay when it's up. Tell people about the Go Vegan Grow interview. Tell people about the Peaceful Planet. Tell people about what Neil's doing. Like, hopefully we'll see a big shift in professional footballers in the coming years. You know, Neil's doing what he can as Dean as well, and hopefully some other footballers, and Forest Green are obviously doing their bit. So it is something that's going to change. It's just we all need to do a little bit. And as I always stress, if we all do a little, it's going to end up with changing the masses. So just keep doing what you can. And Neil, I just want to thank you so much for your time. You know, you're very passionate about this area. You're a wonderful role model for the whole plant-based movement. You know, 36 years, and especially at a time when there were so few, even on the planet, that were plant-based, and especially then in a sport at a professional level, where, like, I'm sure there's a lot of ribbing and mocking, but you know, you stood firm to your principles, and even after your career, you've done such wonderful work to do your best with the plant-based movement. And just keep going to Peaceful Planet. Anyone who's listening, actually, who can help Neil in any way, shape, or form for the Peaceful Planet, make sure to get in touch with him, okay? And also, of course, you know, contact me when it's ready, and I'll do what I can as well. But I just want to thank you so much for your time and for being on the show and giving such a great interview.
It's a pleasure, Dave. Yeah, it's been great. You know, I hope people have enjoyed it, get something out of it. Yeah, I mean, I thank you as well, you know, for inviting me, and you keep up the great work as well, Dave. You know, it's the likes of yourself who are so passionate about it now. And that's the nice thing, you know, people are sort of new to it. Not you've been in it for a few years now, but a lot of new people coming into it. You see a lot of Facebook groups sprouting up now, and with people, newbies, I think, but they seem really passionate about it, you know, and they want to use the power of the social media to get it out there as well, you know. So it's a big thumbs up to everyone who becomes vegan.
Exactly. And I said, just keep up the good work and keep us informed all the time of what you're doing. You know, as soon as the piece of planet's up, let me know and I get it out to the followers. And again, if I can be of any help, and I said, viewers, any way you can be of any help, just let me know, okay? So thank you, Neil, and to everyone listening. I want to thank you once again for being on, investing your time. It's been a pleasure having you on. Make sure you keep coming on the Go Vegan Grow interview. Typically every week we're interviewing, whether it be experts or athletes or just ordinary people like yourself who've adopted a plant-based lifestyle and they share their own personal journey. Because again, if we all just share our own journeys and give some tips and strategies, it's going to improve people's lives. And remember, you know, whatever your reason, Go Vegan Grow, save yourself, save animals, save the planet. Until next time, Dave Sheehan here, founder of Go Vegan Grow. Take care and keep making the right choices.